My name is Shepard Fairey. Yeah, I'm living here in LA. I grew up in South Carolina, lived in Rhode Island, San Diego. Now I live in LA. Growing up in South Carolina, I was around punk and skateboarding, but there wasn't really any, wild style, New York style graffiti. It was just like, Darnell loves Gina on the side of the gym or whatever. So when I was 18, I went to New York, and just driving there, all the traffic, but looking out the windows of all the graffiti starting like 20 miles outside New York, huge pieces. And then some of the spots that looked like people either took like 40-foot ladders or rappelled with rope down this huge wall and did throw-ups out in the middle of this wall. And I was blown away by the lengths that people would go to get up. But I felt like you have to be born in New York in the Bronx, black or Hispanic, and then you can do beautiful lyrical letters. But white guys, no. 19, you missed your apprentice phase that starts when you're 6 years old. You can't do it. So that was, I was like, I'm close to 20 years behind, on this thing. But that was just my ignorance. But I did wanna get up in the same way. So I had been doing a lot of stuff with spray paint, but just spray paint stencils. Then I started making bigger stencils of like my Andre the Giant imagery. And when I saw that stuff in New York after I had started the project, I, first started to make bigger stickers, and then I started making huge posters and just started taking it bigger and bigger and bigger. I am going to show you how to mix up wheat paste, wallpaper paste, the glue that you use to put posters, flyers up on the street. It's a fairly simple thing. These are normal buckets, and this has residue of last weekend's pasting mission, but I've added some new water to it, and that's the nice thing about wheat paste is it's not like regular glue where if you leave it for a little while it just hardens. It only hardens when it's thin, so on a surface and then over a poster. So I'm gonna mix a little bit more. My favorite brand, because of performance and economic reasons, is this Golden Harvest Technobond that you can get at most Home Depots. It's like a synthetic wheat paste. It's in this powder form, looks suspicious when it's in your bag going through customs like this. Sometimes I take it out of the box because it packs more compactly and they're like, what's this about? But anyway, I haven't had anybody snort it yet. The nice thing about it is you mix it with water and it expands and takes on this sort of gelatinous consistency that performs really well. You mix it like this so it doesn't clump up too much. Keep stirring. We got a cooking show too. And you need about 1 bag of this stuff for a full bucket. This is a 3-gallon bucket filled up to about 2 gallons. It'll take a second. It'll start to get a really nice, thicker consistency, which when you're putting a poster on the wall, it clings to the brush and then spreads really nicely. It took me a while to perfect this because when you go to the wallpaper department of the hardware store, they've got a pasting brush, which is a little brush on a handle. If you were to put it in this bucket, the handle would be falling right into the paste. And plus, you can only paste as high as you can reach. What I figured out was that a slightly smaller than normal broom, like a janitor's broom, is a great brush. And it also has the same receptacle, like attachment vehicle that a roller does. I can unscrew this. And then also, this is a roller extension pole, which is really gooped up, so I might not be able to show how it extends, but it extends the full length of the handle. Here's a brand new one of these poles. See what this works like. Bam. I can do an 11-foot high billboard, and that's all I need, and it's pretty compact. Then with these extension poles right here, this one goes up to 16 feet, so I can be dangling over a building, pasting down from the top, and do, you know, an 8-10 foot image going down from the top. This is my backpack. I just keep rope in there, and I keep a couple extra boxes of paste. Sometimes if I'm doing a really ill spot, I'll bring walkie-talkies with me. If it's a spot where I'm really out in the open and would be spotted easily if the police were to come by, then I'll use walkie-talkies. If it's a spot where I can't climb and bring the paste at the same time because it's too awkward, when I get to the top, I just drop the rope down to someone and they tie the rope and the brush to the bucket, and then I hoist the stuff up. Sometimes when I've been out by myself, I've actually just tied the stuff on the ground and then climbed with the rope, letting a little slack out at a time so that when I got to the top, I could pull it up. I've gotten pretty good at climbing. It's starting to thicken up a little bit. It's not quite there yet. It takes about 5 minutes. Do it, you know, you slap it onto a surface, you put the poster on, then you brush over it and push all the air bubbles out so there's paste on both sides of the poster, and it you know, it forms a nice seal and it dries clear and it helps protect it from the weather. But this stuff is really designed for indoor wallpaper use, so it's not 100% waterproof. If it rains a lot, you know, there's a hurricane or something, a poster will eventually come off of the surface. But here is the magic ingredient. It's Golden Harvest soft gel. It's an acrylic polymer, and of all the different additives I've tried, this is the strongest. But this is like 40 bucks right here. So if I mix half of one of these into there, which is about the optimal ratio, it makes the price of that bucket of paste go from $3 to $23. I never know when I'm gonna get arrested and shut down, and you know, I want my spots to last as long as I can. I use this. When I was younger and I didn't have any money and I had a lot of time to go regulate and redo my spots, then I just went cheap. You know, or if you have somebody that works at the art store and you can scam this stuff out the back door or something, you know, great, but this is the best. I've had one spot in New York that's been up since February '96. It's just like the icon face, you know, like the one that guy's holding there. I call that the icon face because the original sticker was the one that says Andre the Giant has a posse, 74528 on it. This Misfits knockoff is kind of a hybrid of that old school face, the scuzzier one with then the new one, you know, is the yeah. Hey, look, there's the sticker, the same image as this guy right here. I did at House of Blues was similar to what I do on the street in terms of the imagery that I put up and the process of putting it up there, you know, wheat pasting up. But when I'm on the street, I have to worry about the police coming. And so I work really fast when I'm on the street. In fact, you know, it takes me about a minute to put a poster up. But I had to pace myself during the House of Blues show. But that was great because it's so much faster for me to put posters up than for, say, an aerosol artist to do a piece, that I was able to do several pieces during the course of the evening, in that I started off with certain images and I would layer them and then put more up and rip them and put more up. You know, I think I started off with maybe some of these posters, these This Is Your God posters. These are actually offset printed. A lot of posters I screen print. What I do with these is I make a bunch on thin paper that I put up on the street, and then I make some on thicker paper that I sell. And this was the one of the images for a show I just did called This Is Your God, which was about people's obsession with fame, money, stardom, all that sort of stuff. Consume with discretion, even obey. You know, one of the things I love about street art is you never know how long the stuff is going to last, and people interact with it. So this is an example, and I think I put some of these up too, of me photographing one that's already been ripped up, and there's other posters in the area, and you know, all sorts of scuzz, and I photographed that and turned that back into a poster again, sort of saying like, he tried to rip it down, but it's back in a new form. Can't stop the giant. You know, and then I also, when I was doing the show at House of Blues, tried to replicate that process of natural decay by just ripping the stuff myself, but getting at least a look and conceptually communicating to the audience the idea that pay attention to this stuff because it might not be here that long, and that's part of what makes life interesting, you know, is that things are constantly evolving and changing. A lot of these posters that I put up are scarce, one of a kind, so you know, when I put them up and then I put other stuff over them, that's it. They're gone. It's like there you have it, you know, and hope you enjoyed it because it's gone now. And so, you know, I put some of those posters up, and then maybe I put, I mean, sometimes I just put up stuff that's no imagery. It's just like wallpaper, just like a pattern, just to give it some texture. Johnny Rotten piece from the Sex Pistols, and I peeled that one away, and then I know that at some point I had up, I think maybe some hip hop imagery, like maybe some Public Enemy stuff, a couple of Flavor Flav images, I think, and then finished with a huge Andre the Giant as Gene Simmons with the blood dripping down and the makeup and flames and everything.
What you mean? What you mean? You with the dream, you make the decay at the seams, you fix it if you say what you mean.
I haven't named it, but it's just the Scratch at House of Blues piece, but everyone really likes it. They're calling it the Gene Simmons collage piece. There's this idea that because it was like for a performance and that it's sort of street artish, that I don't really want it anymore because I'm always giving my art away to the street, and like, no, I want it. I'm keeping it. I'll put it up somewhere else. What I try to do with the people I choose is I choose them because of either their, you know, positive or negative contributions, depending on whether it's a dictator or like a musician or something. Some people I'm trying to put on a pedestal because I think that they inspired me, like Chuck D or Johnny Rotten or Jam Master Jay, than other people, Lenin, Stalin, George Bush. You know, I'm saying, like, look at how these guys get into power. Sometimes I've taken that whole strategy, which has been used by advertising and propaganda forever, of take something, make it seem important, make it seem powerful, use emotionally potent phrases and images to get people's attention, to, you know, indoctrinate them, and you know, to at least get them to you know, feel like, wow, this is big, this is bigger than me. My process is a process of simplification where I try to just reduce the images to what is most compelling and essential, and I guess you know, what you would associate as like the essence of that person. Probably started when I was about 16 or 15 because I wanted to make homemade punk rock t-shirts, and my mom had a photocopier, and a photocopier turns anything less than 50% gray to white and anything darker than 50% gray to black. So everything you get is just going to be black and white. So you have to choose images that are going to work well that way. And then when I would print the shirts, I'd either print them with white ink on a black shirt or black ink on a white shirt. Very simple. So I would take album covers or pictures I got from magazines of, you know, the Sex Pistols or the Clash or the Misfits or whatever, and I'd cut them out by hand. So it was knowing that it was going to be in one color ink and that it couldn't be too detailed because I was hand cutting these paper stencils that I'd make t-shirts with. Mm-hmm. You know, the same way that I cut a stencil, you know, like this is a stencil of Zapata. It's hard to tell when they're just like the stencil itself. You know, there's his face, his mustache, but this is just a few simple shapes. When you spray it out, it really looks like him. Here's Snoop Dogg right here.
I'm talking about putting a brick through the other
Faux Shizzle. This is B, Snoop. So yeah, this is an image of Sid Vicious, very similar to one of the first ones that I did when I was like 15 or 16. So it shows how much I've progressed in the last 18 years. So this is a little bit of light mist of spray adhesive to keep the stencil flat. Try to keep the spray paint out on my coffee. And, I think the interesting thing about Sid is he's the most famous guy from the Sex Pistols, probably because he killed his girlfriend, but he actually did the least. He's really funny how image is everything, because he had the punk rock image thing so down, but he didn't really do much. He was a terrible bass player, but I think that's really funny. I kind of like that. I guess that what I'm into is I'm into both playing into the cliches of different genres and at the same time sort of making fun of them. Go. Voila, Sid Vicious.
Say what you mean. Say what you mean. You run with the dream. You make it decay at the seams. You can fix it if you say what you mean. My
philosophy with postering is that if you integrate it in a way that's tasteful, and I guess that's subjective. To me, it's just common sense. If a building is abandoned and it's in a condition where they're going to have to put work into it as soon as someone occupies it anyway, then I don't feel like I'm lowering the property value or making anyone's life unreasonably miserable. And then as far as city property goes, I look at it like I'm a taxpayer, and as long as I'm not covering a stop sign, so if someone runs a stop sign and gets killed, that if I use the back of a sign or an electrical box, that's legitimate use of the public space. The project is designed to put something out there next to advertising that's a humorous, provocative alternative to it. People now say, because I've got clothing and stuff, that now it's just another ad, and you could look at it that way, I guess, if you want to be a hater. I mean, I've always emphasized the reclamation of public space as a forum for free speech. My advice to anyone that's going to put posters up or do any sort of street art is you can get in trouble, so be careful, and try to minimize the trouble that you're going to get into by doing places that you could have some sort of semi-legitimate excuse for doing, like any sort of boarded up windows on a store. You can say, oh, well, when they fix this up, they're just going to take the plywood down anyway. The good thing about wheat paste is when it's wet, you can take it down. So if a policeman comes up when you're putting a poster on an electrical box or something, say, oh, I'm sorry, as a promotion for my band, we don't have any money, but we're trying to make it. I'll peel it off. You can peel it off while it's still wet. Get your hands wet. I've had to take my sweatshirt off and wipe the paste off to please a policeman, but I didn't end up getting arrested. So, you might think you're punk, but don't act like a punk when the cops are around, because that's the quickest thing that'll get you thrown in jail. It's rewarding, but it can be high stakes. Okay, so I think that's pretty much everything anyone could possibly need to know about that.